Hi everybody, it's Derek at Ada Community Library, and welcome back for another week of our Kids Who Code program here. And this week it'll just be me again. Jess is also a staff member that's working on this program, and she's doing some more of the behind the scenes things this week, but we will meet Jess here eventually. So with that said, we'll go ahead and get started. And for this week's program, we have we're going to do a couple things. We're going to actually get started and go through, I don't know if you can see here, but this book, Girls Who Code, Learn to Code and Change the World, is a companion piece to this program. I mean, you're not required to have the book for this. If you want to try to buy one or check one out from the library, you can. But I'll be referring to the lessons and things that are in the chapters of this book as we're going through things starting today. All right. So if you were here for the first week and second week, we focused on just getting registered with the Girls Who Code organization. They provide our curriculum and some other materials for the program, and also a Scratch account. And Scratch is the platform that we use to do our coding in. So if you haven't done that yet, please check back for week 1 or week 2 on the library's YouTube channel, and that'll get you through those steps. So we'll go ahead and move forward here. And this week we are going to be going through the chapter in the book, Why Coding. All right, and in this video we'll be doing talking about some of the concepts and ideas from chapter 1 in that book, and a couple vocabulary words. We're going to have an activity using Scratch and do some hands-on things and see how it goes. So one thing before we get started, at the bottom of the screen here I have a tip for the week, and if you're not already doing it, I would recommend using 2 web browser windows on your computer as you're doing the project here. One window will be me talking on video here, and then the other window will be your Scratch account that you'll be logged into on the Scratch website. So let's go ahead and move forward, and we'll talk a little bit about why coding and what brought you here to Kids Who Code. Maybe you had a parent or a sibling that said, hey, you should try coding. Computer programming is cool, you can get a good job. Maybe you're just genuinely interested in this kind of thing, or maybe you've already been doing some on your own, and that's great too. Coding is can be a very powerful tool in the world today, and it's about more than just computers. You're also it's a medium to express your ideas and your creativity, and you will definitely learn how to do problem solving, and chances are you'll be working on a team with other people too. So you'll be working with other people and collaborating and sharing ideas and that kind of thing. All right, and with some coding under your belt, you'll be able to do things like make a website, maybe make an app for a phone, maybe some other kind of technology like a smart bracelet, like a Fitbit, or there's so many different things that use computer coding these days, things that we use in our everyday lives. So let's go ahead and talk about a couple vocabulary words for this week. The first one we have here is code, and it can be described as what people use to describe the steps a computer program should take. And I don't know if you can see the little graphic there on the screen, but it looks kind of like instructions you'd get in a Lego box. Step 1, step 2, and so on as you're building your Lego figure there. All right, another vocabulary word for this week is input, and that's information and instructions that you give to the computer. And typically you're going to enter that in right on a keyboard, or maybe through voice. You could do that if you have a smartphone. And if you see the graphic here, that's actually a good old-fashioned microwave oven keyboard. And what are you doing when you're microwaving your food? You're telling that computer in the microwave how long you want it to cook for, how hot you want it to be. There's other settings in there. Okay, so when you're typing that stuff into the keyboard, you are inputting information for that computer in that microwave, or on whatever other technology you have with the keyboard. Okay. All right, and output, and that's going to be how a computer behaves based on a combination of your input and the code of the program. So as you can see here, you might be wondering what this is, but this is what that microwave did after you inputted those instructions to that microwave oven. It was told to turn on and to cook, and cool, it did its job, and now you get to eat. Okay, and finally, our last vocabulary word is process. Okay, and the program that is running on your computer or your device, maybe your smartphone, is how the computer turns your input into output. Okay, so it's the whole thing. And there's a picture of a factory here, and if you're not sure what a factory is, basically those are things that you have your raw materials and you put it in, and at the factory they build something with that. Maybe it's a car, that kind of thing. Okay, so cool. So thanks to coders and people expressing their ideas, we have all kinds of great things today. I mean, think, where would we be if we didn't have emojis today, right? We can express ourselves on our smartphones with emojis. So it's a fun way, and that's a great example there of how you can express yourself with creative ideas and some cool art. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and get into some hands-on, and we're going to hop on over to the Scratch website. You can go to this link here, scratch.mit.edu, and we're just going to do a little brief little run through on the Scratch interface there, on the Scratch Sandbox. So right now I'm going to hop over to another screen, and this is going to go blank for a minute. And we're going to hop over to that Scratch website, okay? Alright, so here's the Scratch website, and hopefully you have your account already set up in there. And if you haven't, take a minute to do that. There's the Join Scratch button up here in the top corner. Here, let me see if I can scoot that over a little bit more so we can see. Just a moment here, bear with me. Just kind of zoom this in here. Alright, well, we'll work on that. It's kind of zoomed in a bit too much there, but up here in the corner you can join Scratch or you can sign in, and we want to sign in, right? Okay, so once you click on that, you can type in your username and password that you set up. And in we are into Scratch. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the Scratch website, what you're going to want to do once you're logged in is go up here to the main menu, the upper left corner, and click on the Create button there. Okay, and that's going to take us over to the Scratch Sandbox. All right, and this is the place where we're going to do our coding. Okay, so let's just talk a few minutes. Our last session, we did a couple hands-on projects and clicked and grabbed some blocks and made some things happen, but we didn't really talk about what those things were that we were using. So let's go through that here briefly and talk about a couple of these things. So So getting oriented here in the sandbox, and it's called the sandbox because it's a place where you can play and try things out, okay? Alright, so going from left to right, we have these tabs here, okay? And we're going to click on the code tab, and that's where we're going to see our code blocks, okay? And these blocks are what you're going to want to do when you're doing your coding. You're going to want to choose these blocks, drag them over here to this coding area in the middle, all right? And then over here on the right side of the screen, this is the stage, okay? And you can see Scratchy the cat is here right now, and he is what is known as a sprite, okay? And sprites are objects that you're going to be using in your projects, all right? And there are a lot of different sprites to choose from, different objects and characters and things like that. So what's going to happen here is when you associate and drag your blocks of code with the sprite here, thing is going to happen. See, I'm clicking right now on this block, and you should see Scratchy moving around on the screen here, right? Okay. So once you run your code here, the code is going to tell the sprite what to do over here, right? So I'm doing a little input-output right there. Alright, so let's see. So we can talk more about the sprites here while we're on that. So I'm going to scroll down here a little bit. And down below here, you're going to see a couple things. Here, first you see a little Scratchy. Okay, and this is, it says Sprite 1 here. And this is showing you that you have your Scratchy sprite here created. And do you see how it's highlighted in blue here? That means that whatever is highlighted in blue on the stage, that's what the code is going to go to, your coding blocks, okay? So if I click, let's go ahead and choose another sprite here. So down here in the far right corner, there's a little Scratchy looking icon there. You're going to choose, click on the Choose a Sprite. Okay, and this is going to open up our sprite library, okay? And this is where we've got all kinds of cool, you can see there's people in there, there's things, animals, objects, okay? And this is where we can choose other sprites, all right? And when you click on one of those, then your sprite's going to pop up onto your stage. Isn't that cool? So notice down here, we have Scratchy, we have the block here, and we have Scratchy highlighted here, so that block is going to tell Scratchy what to do here. Now the ballerina sprite over here, if we click on her, and she's highlighted in blue, do you see how there's no code over here? Now we can code her. We can bring some blocks over, and I'm going to click on that, and you can see the code is how the code affects her. It's telling her to turn 15 degrees there, right? Okay, so what else do we need to know here? We also have backdrops, and those are something that you can use to make your project, depending on what your project is, a little more interesting visually here. Right now they're kind of in a white background, and if you want a backdrop here, let me see if I can find it on the screen. It's down here in the corner next to Scratchy. I'm going to have to scoot it over here on my screen to get to it. So let me work on that here. Well, down here in the corner. Okay, there we go. So over here, right next to the Scratchy button, there's a Choose a Backdrop button. So if you click on that, there's some backdrops, okay? So there's many different scenes and settings and that kind of thing. So I'll click on desert, and then we have Scratchy and the ballerina out in the desert somewhere, okay? So that's your backdrop, and depending on what your project is, you can pick a theme that goes well, all right, with that. There's also a way to create your own sprites and backdrops, and we can take a look at that in a minute. So let's go back to the blocks here real quick, and I'm going to just talk a little bit more about these blocks of code. Okay, So scooting back over here. So we have, let's scroll up here. Now on the blocks here, we have, here, let me see, I'm going to have to scoot this over again. And the other buttons aren't showing, so let me just get those in order here. Okay, so over here we have different colored buttons here, and these show our different blocks of code. All right, there's looks, there's sounds, there's events, and so on. Okay, and these are all different types of computer code that we'll use in our projects. Okay, and these are going to be the building blocks for our projects. No pun intended there. All right. So let's see here. Let's go back over and look at these other tabs here. The next tab over here is costumes. Okay. Now if you click on the costumes tab, you'll see that Scratchy, all of a sudden it's another Scratchy. And this is actually looking at the Scratchy over here on our stage. Okay. And what this means is this is a graphics editing feature on Scratch, and you can do things like color. You can create other words and text and so on. Let's see here. All right, and it's a fun place to create original things or enhance your sprites that come with Scratch already. Okay, and you'll see when I edited Scratchy here that Scratchy on the stage automatically transferred over there. So that's how that works. And it's just the sample here, and you also notice that there are two Scratchies over here. All right, and you see how Scratchy, it looks a little bit different in each position. The idea here is you can create animations with different sprites or the different positions of the sprite. You know, right here it looks like Scratchy might be walking or something. All right, so that's just a brief preview. I don't want to focus on that for too long, and we can go ahead and go back up here, and we're going to go over to sounds real quick. Okay. Now, sounds are fun, and they're something you can also use to enhance your projects in Scratch. Okay, so right now we have a cat sound there, and that's kind of just put there by default. But if we want to create more sounds or choose more sounds for our projects, and we can go down here to the lower left corner, and there's choose a sound. And if you click on that, you're going to go into the sprite, or rather the sound library, okay, with sound samples. Okay, and there are all kinds of different categories up here: animals, effects, loops. Okay, and all kinds of special effects. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the back button over here in the upper left corner, and we're going to get out of there. And these are sounds that we will be using in our projects in the coming weeks. Alright, so let's go ahead and click on the code tab, and this will bring us back out to the main screen on the Sandbox. And let's see. So let's go ahead and let's do a little short example here and do a little bit of coding now that we did some orientation. There are more features and elements here in the Sandbox, and I don't want to go into all those now. We can as we progress in our series here from week to week. We'll talk about what the different blocks mean and how they work, and we'll actually apply them in our projects. Okay, so for now, let's go ahead and just do something short and fun, and so we can get a little bit more hands-on here. So what we're going to do here is, if you want to save this project, what you'll want to do is name your file. So to do that, I'm going to go away right now from my video capture here on the screen, and what you're going to want to do is right here where I just disappeared. This is where you're going to name your project. You can type something in the box here, okay? Now this one, we don't need to save it. What we're going to do instead is go up here to File, and we're going to create a new file, okay? And so the old one went away. If you don't save your project by naming it, it'll disappear. It'll just be deleted, okay? So that's okay. For this one, if you want to name it, it's a good habit to get into. You can name it whatever you want here. And I think what we'll do is we'll just do maybe just do a little example of input and output and making your sprite talk. So I'm going to type in a name, and you can name this whatever you want. I'm going to name mine Talking Sprite, okay? You can just type that in, then hit the enter key on your keyboard, and then you have a file that's named and saved on your Scratch account. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and come back over here and reappear, and we'll do a little hands-on here. Okay, so for this little example, we're going to do an example of input and output. Alright, so right now what you're going to want to do is let's choose a sprite, and Scratchy is cool, so you can leave Scratchy if you want, or you can create another sprite. Okay, and I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm going to just choose a backdrop to make things look a little bit more interesting here. Ooh, that's kind of a cool one. Looks like he's I don't know what, maybe a snowstorm, or I don't know what here. Alright, so there's Scratchy, and for this example, let's just have Scratchy say something to us, okay? So what we'll want to do is go up here, and on the left side, you're going to want to go to Looks. Alright, and then once you click on the Looks button, you'll see the purple blocks of code, and there's a Say Hello for 2 seconds. So go ahead and drag that over, okay? And if you click on that block, Scratchy you should see Scratchy saying hello there, okay? Alright, so another thing that I didn't mention earlier, but up here right above Scratchy there's a green flag, and that's how we start our programs. When we code something and we want to run the code, we're going to click on this green flag, okay? And then the stop sign looking icon is to stop the program from running, okay? So in order for those to work, what you're going to want to do is go over here to the Events button, and you're going to want to choose this when the green flag Go flag is clicked, and put that on there. And you see how those kind of click together, kind of like a puzzle. So now when we click on the green flag, Scratchy says hello. Alright, so our input there was we were clicking on the green flag, right, and starting the program. And then the output is Scratchy saying hello. So go ahead and, for fun, you can right here in the purple block of code, the Say Hello block, go ahead and click on hello, and you can delete that and put something else in there. Maybe you could type something about yourself. Alright, I'm typing in, hi, I'm Derek, and here to have fun. Okay? And you can click and drag these around a little bit if you want to be able to see what you're doing. You can also zoom in and out of these too. And over here it says 2 seconds right now, and you can go ahead and change this number to whatever you want. So I'm going to change mine to 5 seconds. So I'm going to type 5 in there. Oops, 55, that's too long. How about 5 seconds? 5 and enter. Alright, and so now we'll click the green flag, and Scratchy is now saying, I am Derek and here to have fun. Okay. All right. So let's see here. That is just a short example. Let's do one more here before we call it a day. And let's go ahead and we're going to go back over here to the upper left corner, and we're going to click on New File. And this one is going to go away, and Scratchy's still there. And let's do one more, and this time let's try to add our own sprite. Now, right now, Scratchy's on the stage, and he always comes up just automatically when you start a new project, but you don't have to keep Scratchy in there. So if you say, Scratchy, not this time, what you can do is go down here to the lower left corner. You can click on this trash can symbol, okay, and that will get rid of the Scratchy sprite. So if you want to get Scratchy back, you can always get another Scratchy from the Sprite library. But for now, I'd like to just put someone else in here so we have some different Sprite and just make things a little more interesting. So let's click on Abby, or whatever Sprite you choose. Okay. And this time we're going to have Abby move around with using our arrow keys, okay? So using the arrow keys, the 4 arrows on your keyboard, if you can look at your keyboard right now and see those, you should have an arrow pointing up and one pointing down, one pointing to the left, and one pointing to the right. We're going to do some code in Scratch to make those arrows control which direction she's going in, okay? So let's go ahead and see what we can do. And now, first thing we're going to want to do is name our project, right? So you remember how to name your file? It's a good habit to get into before you start coding too much. So what I'm going to do is disappear off here again, and just as a reminder, we're going to go back up here in the middle of the screen on top, and then type in whatever you want, Abby. I'm just going to type or name mine Abby Moves. Not too exciting, but it kind of describes what's going on, right? Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and from the code buttons, we're going to go over here to the events, and then we're going to choose when space key is pressed, okay? Alright, and Abby Sprite is highlighted down here. Make sure of that. And if you click on when the space key block is there, you'll notice if you click on the word space, there's a bunch of different things in here. Letters of the alphabet, and then you see the arrows up, down, right, and left. Okay. So what all this corresponds to is those keys on your computer keyboard, on your real computer keyboard. So let's go ahead and we can just choose any one of those 4 arrows. So let's go ahead and choose the up arrow. Okay, and then what we're going to do is go over here to the blue motion button, and then we're going to want to have her move up when you click on the up arrow on your keyboard. Alright, so for that, we're going to want to look down here, and we're going to, you may or may have not gone through this in school yet, but basically there's these blocks of code that have change X and change Y, alright? And those refer to positions here on the stage. There's an axis here that you can't see, but Scratch knows where to put your sprite depending on your X and Y positions on the stage, okay? So your X position, let's go ahead and click on change X by. Now I'm going to click on that, and you see how she's moving? Change X by 10. So she's moving to the right, okay? So the X position refers to where your sprite is on the left or right side, okay? Now the Y position, if we do change Y by, let's pull one of those out and click on that. And you see how she's going up now, okay? So the Y position refers to the vertical plane here, up and down on the screen. Okay, so if we change this number, let's type in a -10. And we're going to click on that. And now do you see she's going to the left? Okay. So for the X position here, if it's a positive number, your sprite is going to go to the right. If it's a negative number, your sprite is going to go to the left. Okay, and so the same with the Y. If it's a positive number, it's going to go up vertically. If it's a negative number, let's change it to -10 and click on it. Your sprite's going to go down, okay? So we can talk about that more later, but I wanted to just give you a little example of what's happening there. And it's some math that you may not have done in school yet. So it may not make a whole lot of sense to you and kind of sound like a foreign concept. And don't feel bad if it does. I think the more you use it, it'll start to make more sense. So for now, I just wanted to do another short example, and I'm going to drag one of those off the stage, and we want, let's see here, actually let's get rid of both of those. And since we're working on the up arrow and we want Abby to go up, we're going to want to go to, is it either the X or the Y? X, remember, goes from left to right, and the Y goes from top to bottom. So since we're going up arrow, we're going to want to choose the change Y, right? Okay, so go ahead and click on that change Y by block and click it to the up arrow key pressed, and then go ahead and click your key with the up arrow on your keyboard and see if that works. Okay. All right, so don't go too far or Abby will disappear off of the screen. You can just click on her and drag her back down again, okay? All right, so you have your up arrow key coded. So your next challenge would be to see how would you code your sprite to go back down again. Let's go ahead and grab another Win space key block from the events button there, and then this time we're going to click and we're going to choose down arrow from the menu. Okay. Alright, and then we're going to go back up to the blue motion button and we're going to grab another change Y. Okay, so now you remember how we talked about if it's a positive number, 10, it's going to go one direction, and then if it's the negative number, it's going to go another direction, the opposite direction. So let's go ahead and change that other one to -10. Okay. Now go ahead and click the down arrow on your keyboard, and you see Abby going downwards there. Okay, and if you click the up arrow, she's going back up. Okay. All right, so this can come in handy when maybe you're creating a game in Scratch, okay, which is a lot of fun. So I'm not going to go through coding the left and right arrows. I'm going to let you figure that out and see if you can finish Abby up so she can move wherever you want on the stage there, okay? Okay, so I think we're going to wrap things up for today. We've covered a couple things, and I think we're in a good spot. If you want to explore the Scratch Sandbox some more, there's plenty of other blocks of code through these buttons that you can go through and play around with. The sound one is kind of fun, and there's a bunch of other ones, and we'll start using more of those each week. Okay, so excuse me there. I'm just gonna have to quiet down my phone, and I'm gonna go ahead and exit out of Scratch here. All right, and then we're gonna go back over to where we were a minute ago. Okay, and then I'm gonna finish up with you guys for this week. So sorry about that, it's a little bit out of whack, but there we go. So all right, well, so for today we did a little bit more hands-on with the Scratch Sandbox, and kind of got to know where all the tools are in there, and we did a couple hands-on examples with some input and output. And next week we will continue on, and we'll have some more. Probably start a project next week. Now, if you just joined us, if you look here on the bottom of the screen, there's a previous week's link down here. And if you click on that, that's going to take you to the Ada Community Library's YouTube page, and that'll have our previous week's projects. Okay, if you need to do anything that you may have missed or want to maybe just revisit. Okay, so we will meet again here next week, next Thursday, September 24th at 6:30, and have some more cool stuff for you guys. In the meantime, if you have any questions, you can reach me directly at my number there on the screen, or you can email me there at my work email address. So thanks for joining us today, and I look forward to our next meeting, and we will continue to code and learn together. All right, so have a good rest of your week, and take care. Bye-bye.